How's it going, everyone? Hey, Rancher, Hansi, Koji. Let's see what did Rancher have to say. I would advise collectors to delve within themselves and figure out what's important or desirable to them. There's a tendency within the community to treat guidelines or preferences as laws. Good point. How you doing, Dominic? The journey, good grief. These guys think we have a philosopher going here. The journey and its discovery shapes the collector as much. Yeah, it's a good point. Really good points there, Rancher. Hi, Jerome de Marseille. Gilberto. Good morning. Hi, Rel. Does it sound all right, guys? Hi, neighbor. Oh, good. Glad everything's working. I gotta check out every time. I keep getting new gizmos and so anyway, okay. What I wanted to start with is is something just sort of an idea. Now, in terms of what ranchers said, let me say this is that whatever I consider to be three important types of watches to have, they're only what I consider. They're not as Clyde pointed out, they're not some we're not trying to set up some laws, but rather saying, okay, what kind of watches would I be comfortable with? Would make me happy to have? And so anyway, so let's talk about that. How you doing, Tuna? Um, okay, don't feed Gizmo after midnight. What's your opinion of the Durham Blues? I like Durham Blues. Those are, I think they're honest watches. That's what I like about them. Good drum watch. Hey, Brian. Koji. Let's see. Release the Gremlin watch. The Gremlin watch. I'm not sure what that one is. Um, hey, Tim. How you doing? Okie doke. All right. Well, let me start off since Gizmo is a gremlin. Okie doke. Need an LF. Okay. A Laurent Fleurier. Now that's a brand. What I was thinking of is something like this. If somebody just starting asked me, and they do, say what would be the three watches? I don't think I wouldn't give a brand of watch, but rather three types of watches. I would say, well, what I would do is have one sports watch, have one dress watch, and have one DTZ watch, one with dual time zone. Now, um, the sports watch can be, I mean, there's like the luxury sports watches, and I think that one of those three has to be like an everyday office watch. Now, what that ends up being can be anything. The nice thing about an office watch is that most people in most offices don't pay too much attention. And these days, I was watching something or going somewhere. I forgot where it was, but everybody had on an Apple Watch. So even my wife. In theory, selections. Yeah, I think so. I think. How you doing, Thomas? Um, all three should not have silicon air springs. There are three types of watches. You need to have the first one, the watch you like, and the watch you can buy. Okay, that I'll say that. And now that goes with saying. But what I would do, okay, what I've done, the watch that most people probably wear most of the time is some sort of sports watch or a luxury sports watch. Back before I retired, my office watch was an overseas Vacheron Constantin overseas. Had a black dial and just stainless steel. It was what was is now called OS1, since that was the first model they had, and I think they had a modified Girard-Perregaux movement in it at that time. Just great watch to have. Enjoyed it immensely, and wore it to work every day. And nobody could care, nobody could care less about it. But I enjoyed it. So I mean, that can be an office watch, but it can also be a sports watch because it's sort of like a luxury sports model that came along with the Royal Oak, and then another one with the Patek Philippe Nautilus. Those are sort of the luxury sport, if you will. I don't have that. In fact, I don't have any luxury sport. Well, I guess I don't know. I have one. My only sports watch really is the Sympathy, the Roger Dubuis Sympathy. But anyway, so those are my three things. I'd get a uh, an everyday watch, an office watch, and which could be a number of different kinds of things. A dress watch. I guess that was four things, wasn't it? I added one. But anyway, those are my three, essentially: a dress watch, a sports watch, and then a dual time watch. Now, this a single watch can be all three of them. I guess my hemisphere would be somewhat of a sports watch, but it's multiple time zones, and so I sort of kill two birds with one stone. Or my RDC et Ur d'Ayer, the my what's it called? Van Cleef and Arpels. That's a great uh, dress watch. I mean, it's a dual time, uh, and it's interesting with the retrograde minutes. Very thin, very much of a what Pierre Arpels considered a gentleman should be wearing. So you can have more than one level on a single watch. Let me say one more thing, and I know this has to do a lot with affordability, but I think that you should have at least one watch that's either in gold or platinum. This one is in white gold. This is one I got recently, and it was like a fraction of the MSRP, a little over 4,000. But you have you have options, and if that's what you want, if you can, get your mitts on one. Now, another route to go if you want a gold watch is vintage, but trying to avoid vintage. You can find some really good buys though, and at least one watch that's going to be a nice dress watch. You're getting fancy. Okay, all right, Caesar, what's up? Um, Good seeing you live too. Owning a home and doing something both inside and outside every day, the most important watch to me is a beater. Yeah, Brian, you got. I I was doing something. I was at the grocery store the other day, and I realized I had on my FP Journe resonance watch because I'd been wearing it. So that was my beater of the day. Sports watch, 100 meters of water, two dress watches from one of the Holy Trinity. That's number two. Three-time GMT watch. Yeah, there is something, the Holy Trinity dress watch. I tell you right now, if somebody's asked me what brand of dress watch that I would want, it'd probably be an H. Moser. Okay. As much as I like Vacheron Constantin, I've given up on Patek Philippe ever since they went to silicon hairspring. But That's more of my idiosyncrasy than anybody else. Um, yeah, well, actually, Clyde, it was only a partial, Roman got the air. Yeah, that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. I think another one, if you wanna add to that, is to get a watch by a really good, very well-known, award-winning watchmaker. Now, in the case of my Chanel Monsieur Chanel, that was, happened to have Romain Gauthier as sort of his parts and a lot of other stuff, that he did. Before that, though, a long time ago, when I got, the Harry Winston, it was a gold watch. It had a retrograde, minute. It was a bi-retrograde. But the big thing that turned out, especially in the long run, was the fact that I got a contact with, Agenor, who had made the retrograde for it. So, yeah, let me add that to the list. Somewhere in there is a watch by a really top watchmaker. Now, it doesn't have to be the most expensive one. I think that Mad Red that came out by MB&F sort of MB&F light. I think that's an important thing that, would be fun to have if you can find one because they're out there. I don't mean the one that, as much as I like, um, Jaime Ahsoka, um, the that watch that has I think he did the dial for him or designed the dial, and then they sold it really cheap so that his fans could afford one. That's, really not much of a watch by the watchmaker, because his watches, they can't afford, neither can I. There was I love to have a tsunami, though. But, if sometimes things come your way that are a really good deal. I think I got a great deal on that Chanel, and all of my, Parmigianis and my early, H. Mosers, and there's still some around. Yeah, I'm not a pop I'm neither. You know, uh, this is why my best recommendation is be sure you like the watch you get. This watch, I've recommended this one to anybody who will listen. Not everybody would like it. This is a Fabergé Alexi. I don't know why that I like this watch so much. I have no idea. I got it because I didn't think they would take my lowball offer, and they did. And so, but it was a good watch. It was white gold, the engine turned guilloche. I mean, it had a lot of things going for it. And I happen to know a lot about the background of Fabergé, not because I'm a genius, but because simply read about it. That's more than anything else. Hey, Kotov, wristwatch, backpack strap, Casio, bookshelf show off watch. Okay. I want the Endeavor without the indices. It's so nice. You know something, Caesar? You can find not as easy it used to be, but there's some you can get the Endeavor center seconds from sort of the early 2000s, and you can I don't know you can't find too many. I used to be able to find a lot of them, and the ones you can find they don't have the great prices that they used to either. Joel, a beater, a daily, and a special occasion. Yeah, that sounds like a good one. Court not can't have a court. This is mechanical only. I tell you something like a G Shock, something like that. A lot of people they love their G Shock. That's cool. A good friend of mine who I do a lot of stuff with. Um, he was the guy who went down to FP Journe with me. He's got a G Shock. H Moser Pioneer Center Seconds Green Dial. There you go. Hi, Adam. Um, Yeah, Caesar. Yeah, I've been trying to sell that thing for a lot of money. Is your purchase of Fabergé linked to the production of E2? To some extent it was, Caesar, because I didn't think I had a watch with hand guilloche on it. I was really interested in it, and I wanted to look at it closely. Trouble was, well, I got this, and like I said, I enjoy wearing it. That's the important thing. Keeps great time, blued hands. I like it. But the one that has really great guilloche on it is my uh, Van Cleef& and Arpels RDC et Ur d'Ayer, time here and time there. Right in the middle, they have that tuxedo shirt guilloche. I mean, that thing is looks just great. Speaking of the Moser Endeavor, love the small seconds. I like that one too. There's a lot of the older ones. I was almost able to get that Rolls Royce one. That would be fun to have. I suppose probably the logo of the the Rolls Royce Enthusiast Society is a bit much. I mean, they got this giant grill on the thing, and it's embossed on the I guess the Endeavor small seconds. Just a fun dumb watch to have. Hey, John, wearing my vintage date just Thunderbird this AM. Thunderbird. That's another watch that is the Vacheron Constantin Thunderbird. That's a very cool watch too. Hey, Chili Burger. Okay. So let's see what we can come up with. All right. So let's if we're going to we have for a a, s- a simple one. What about let me ask you this. Uh I don't know how this would be categorized. It's sort of a steel, it's got a lot of steel. It's the only steel bracelet I have. Everything else is gator, or I think I got a couple fabric. But how would you categorize? I mean, when you say this kind of watch, it's I don't know. I, where would it fit? Is it a sports watch? Is it a luxury sports? Is it just a big old Kalpa? I'm not sure what kind of watch it is. Um, I enjoy wearing it. I'll tell you something, by the way, too. For those of you who are into the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio, the ratio of the hour hand to the minute hand is 1 to 1.6, da, 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 da. Whatever, there's a number that's called phi. It's an irrational number like pi. It just sort of goes on forever, but it's somehow works in design, and Parmigiani used it in all different parts of his design work. There's a fabulous Patek diamond encrusted bracelet that happens to have a watch hidden inside. I bet there is. I don't know what to do with it. A dress watch. I would say class is not a hebdo. Yes, it's not a hebdo. It's a kalpa. Um, Yeah, the thing hebdos are hand wound, and you can see by the big gold rotor, this is an automatic. I don't have very many automatics. I don't know. There's certain watches, like I said, I just wouldn't know how to classify it. It's a watch I really enjoy. I enjoy my dual time zone. But some watches sort of someone says, "Well, that looks like a dress watch," or "That's sort of a luxury sports watch," or "That's just sort of a weird watch," whatever category, doesn't seem to fit too well, and yet I don't know, it's a great one to have. It's by a living watchmaker, I mean, a real watchmaker, an award-winning watchmaker. Um, I don't know. The guy who's not so good at marketing, that was one thing. A lot of your best watchmakers are terrible as business, and that's how come a lot of the best ones get sort of forced out. Peter's Speak Marin, Marco Lang, um, all of these great watchmakers, they no longer Daniel Roth, they somehow get squeezed out of their own business, so they never had it in the first place. Excuse me. Okay, Truman, good morning to you. I think the collectors today are more diverse, so wear what you want and rotate them regularly. Most nowadays are leaning to sports watches with bracelets for ease of daily use. Yeah, that's probably right. Um, Jerome de Marseille, that's an interesting one. 3 watches, needed, a beater, a daily office watch. A daily office watch might be sort of a beater too, and then, and then and then one with a complication. 3 dials, color black and white, black and blue. Um, yeah, that's something else, a complication. Uh, Actually, a dual time zone is considered a complication. You know whatever else is considered a complication? A date. I I didn't know that. Apparently, the only thing that's not a complication are minutes, hours, and seconds. Okay, Daniel. Um, what did something? Thomas, have you receiving hand wound and shape movement instead of a small peg and a large square hole. Good point. I agree with that. Um, yeah, that I think is important. I think having at least some shape movements is very important. This one, um, this is what is not a shape movement. Here is a tonneau shaped watch with a round movement. I think that's what Rancher was talking about. The Delari is one that has a great shape movement and pretty much in sort of a Kalpa body. Caesar, do you have thoughts on Simon Brett's watches? The quality and design really got my attention. I haven't looked at them, Caesar. I'll take a look at them now. 52 weeks a year, so you need 52 hebdomadaries. Hey, Adam. 1950 and 1960s Pateks. Those are good. Those are excellent, as a matter of fact. Joas. Winding your hand wound watches is like taking your dog for a walk. What a great analogy. I like that. Yeah, something fun to do. I just had a stereo involved in the new MR2, going to the gym in a couple of hours and then off to intake. Hmm. What did I miss is what I said badly before. Okay. Hey, Raj. I was told that seconds was a complication. It could be. I mean, especially small seconds. Um, on the Etude number one, that is our small seconds, our eccentric seconds, as they like to call them, is a glorious complication because it has that Agonese gear with the springs within the teeth. Amazing kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's a complication of sorts. Reverso, Hebdomadari, and Cellini prints comes to mind. Yeah, those are great examples. Those are all great examples, Truman. Tuna, these days, what Moore does not need is more than a two-handed watch. Two-handed watch. I don't know. People use their iPhones to set their watches, and if there's ever any doubt, they don't look at their watches carefully. They look at their iPhone or their computer. Have you any thoughts on Resurgence Watch by Josh Shapiro? Yeah, I do, and you don't want to hear them. Okay, I'll let her go at that. Jerome de Marseille. Uh, and go for a fraction of the current issue watches from the same watchmaker. I need a date on a watch because of my age. I don't always know the date. I need one with a year on it. I don't know what the John. I don't want to ask you about an age. I'm usually, let me put it this way. I'm the same age as Christian Vanderclaw and Vincent Calabrese. Okay. A date thing. I actually here's the problem with dates and me is that I rotate my watches, and so when a watch comes back to rotation, a date's wrong, and so then I got to reset the whole thing. Good morning, Idle Time. Caesar, any thoughts on tungsten-made watches? Heavier and more resistant than platinum and much cheaper. Titanium was one. I don't know why. Titanium, I mean, for a really great rough and tumble watch is titanium. I don't know that much about tungsten. The last I heard, the only part of a watch made with tungsten is the rotor, but maybe that is something. Need a metal bracelet. Yeah, well, I got one of those. Yeah, I got my beret from Madame Defrage as she was knitting on the front row during the terrors. The date magnifier is more irritating than the date itself. Truman, I, I, I don't want to sound contrary, but I'm one of the people who like the magnifier so I can see the date. I know a lot of Rolex people hate that what they call it, the cyclop eye or something like that. I don't know. Maybe if I had one with it, it would be aggravating. But it's really funny. Rolex fans are so funny. They're out there defending their watch. They love their watches. They love Rolexes. And then among themselves, they're, wow, look at that. Look what they did to the Yacht Master too. Well, they don't know what they did. They got rid of the Prince. They got rid of the some other ones I like. What are they thinking? So Patek Philippe did the same thing with the whole Gondolo line, and then they put in silicone hairsprings. Rado, Distar, and Omega Globemaster use tungsten for their cases. Do they? Rado, I had a Rado for years. The thing about Rado had a reputation for using really interesting materials in their cases. I don't even know if today they make their own movement, but they always had interesting cases. I had a tungsten case and it was quite heavy. Sold it. That's it. I don't know of a watch. I like heft in a watch. This is, even though it's thin and so forth, it's white gold, and white gold's got a nice. Any gold has a nice heft to it. So does platinum. Some bezels are made from tungsten. Yeah. Does anybody know the advantage of tungsten? Very durable and no scratches. Okay. The complication Bill needs is something telling him it's frying pan time. Uh-oh. I guess it is frying pan time. Um, okay. All right. Hey, I don't know. I agree with you should not buy a watch you don't enjoy wearing. I don't care what anybody says. Somebody says, "Hey, here's a FP Journe blue, and I'll sell it to you for $1,000." And you'd never wear it. You don't like it. You don't like the material or anything about it. I wouldn't buy it. Now, and I think there's too much emphasis on buying a watch for an investment. Um, buy it for the horology. There's something. Scratch proofs. Okay. I like to set a Casio world time to the atomic clock. You're right. That would better than anything. One in a micro rotors. They might be in micro rotors too, Jerome. Okay, guys. Hey, listen. Why don't we do this afternoon? We talked about 3 types of watches. Why don't we talk about 3 brands of watches? Okay. Talk about 3 brands. That I think I'd like to do. And I do think are really good brands. And I've got I have some ideas, and I know some of the rest of you do too, but not brands that are brands that you like. You don't care about how popular they are, but say these brands of watches, I got these watches. Everybody hates them, but I love them. That's fine. So let's talk about that this afternoon. If you were around at 4 o'clock, we'll have 3 more. Rancher is prescience. We'll see you guys then. Take care, be careful, and everything.